What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Mindset Mogul podcast. We are your hosts, Bradley Mora and Josh Jacobs, and we are here with another episode today. We are just hanging out. This is our third in-person episode. We had a good night last night. We'll talk about it a little bit. Went for a walk this morning. Very nice day so far. How are you, Brad? How's your day going? What are you grateful for? What's going on?
Definitely grateful for that walk this morning. We walked on Lake Michigan. I probably haven't done that in like 5 years.
We walked on the water.
Yeah, walked on water. But walking in the water is very serene. There's something about just a large body of water that I deeply appreciate, and today reminded me of that.
I am very grateful for that too. Every morning I say that, honestly. It's like the best way to start the day is a walk right on the lakefront. So very happy that you joined me for that today. We ask you to think of one thing that you're grateful for before we jump into the episode. But today we just kind of wanted to riff because we've been hanging out the last 24 hours and have done a lot of brainstorming, a lot of plotting, and just kind of wanted to talk. We were reading a comment this morning that somebody has, basically this guy commented, I've been, listening to you guys, I've been eating healthy for the last 30 days. I've been working out every day, and I feel like my mindset has really improved. And honestly, we just kind of wanted to talk about that because we both are huge believers in the fact that your diet and your exercise has a huge impact on your mindset and your mental attitude at all times. So it's awesome to see some of you guys, following along and, working out every day and eating healthy and changing your habits and building positive habits. I mean, that's obviously why we started this thing. So really, really cool to see that. Shout out, I think James was the one who left that comment. So shout out, James, you're crushing it. And we just kind of want to talk about that for a little bit because, I've noticed that when I go into let's just say I eat 3 days in a row unhealthy and I don't work out, that fourth day I am feeling horrible, and not just in the sense of like my stomach hurting and not feeling as flexible, but literally in the sense of like depressed. I just do not feel mentally happy after I treat myself like shit, feeding myself toxic food and not working out and exercising my body or whatever. So honestly, this deserves a whole episode on its own because of how important it is. So just kind of want to talk about that a little bit. Like, what do you, Brad, think is, when you stop eating healthy or something for a few days, is it instant where your mindset goes back to like I'll say the old ways, just being negative or constantly thinking, or, what is that like for you?
I think you build up goodwill with your body over time. And so for me, I found that the longer I'm in a consistent, healthy state, including both exercise and diet, that I get more leniency when I decide to go off the rails for a bit. The example I'll use is last night, Josh and I went out. We had a nice dinner. We both stayed keto because that's the food program we're on right now. And then after we went to Whole Foods and we got some keto snacks, which I'd say they're certainly better than eating regular processed food that's filled with seed oils and sugar, but they're definitely not optimal. And we binged a little bit on those snacks because that's what we did instead of going out to party. So it's all relative in terms of how we were treating ourselves last night. But I would say this morning I still feel very good. And that's as a function of the prior 90 days before that, at a very minimum, I've been in an optimal food and exercise state. So I've gotten some credibility with myself. But the longer, if I were continue to persist and go on a downward slide, I think generally 3 to 4 days at a max before you start to recognize the downfalls that come with not treating your body right. And at the end of the day, mindset is the culmination of a number of different things. And optimizing for food first, honestly, even before exercise, optimizing for food first builds the foundation and makes it so much easier to have a good mindset. And I'll explain why quickly. Ultimately, your mood and the quality, your mood, which dictates the quality of your thoughts, is governed by the gut. A lot of people think that all of your mood is happening in your brain. That's a common misconception. I think the gut either produces the same or more serotonin than the brain does. Serotonin governs your mood, and therefore how you treat your gut is actually that's going to dictate how your mood persists over time and generally what baseline level you're going to be at. So when you're eating processed foods that have seed oils, which I can get into, but basically inflammatory foods that have sugar and seed oils, when you introduce them into your body, you are going to, over time, make it much harder to be in a good mood because you've essentially poisoned the part of your body that's producing the chemicals that make you feel good.
Yeah, I can be, so I like that you said diet even more important than exercise, because I agree with that. For example, last week it was, you guys have heard me talk about this if you watched the last few episodes, it was super nice outside in Chicago, very rare for April, so I took advantage, went to a rooftop literally Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and ate out at restaurants, eating not the best food, was having a couple cocktails, but I was still working out. But by the end of that week, I was very grateful for the sunshine and being able to go do that stuff. So I felt okay, but my gut was definitely telling me, quit it because you feel like shit. And mentally, I was starting to deteriorate. Even though I was still working out, I was running, I was lifting, I was doing all of my stuff. I was reading. The fact that I was eating so shitty and drinking was unbalancing all those other things. Like it still was. Even though I was doing all the other things, the fact that I was eating like shit and drinking still was bad enough to the point where even though I was doing all those other things, it didn't help me enough. So I do believe that diet is one of the, if not the most important thing that you can take control of to start assisting you with, just having an improved mood every single day.
Even before that, you just triggered a thought for me. If we think about mindset as a pyramid, the true foundation is hydration. If you aren't consistently hydrated over time, I view eating well as the same as drinking enough water. But if you don't drink enough water, even eating vegetables every day isn't going to save you. And so you got to start with consuming the right amount of water every day. Josh and I both do a gallon just to keep it safe.
Cheers.
Start with water, and then on top of that, you're layering diet. And once you get diet right, then you actually get to experience the benefits from something like exercise. And so you have to view these things in terms of you get hydration right, you get your food right, and then it opens up the door to do physical activities that then build on top of that. It opens up the door then to do meditation practices that you'll experience the benefit from. Then you do the daily practices of gratitude that layer on top of that. But doing all those top pieces, you will get benefit from them, but you will be robbed of the majority of the benefit if you're not getting the key inputs to live a successful human life out of the way first, which is hydration and food.
I'm glad you brought up hydration because I like being able to just do this.
Nice.
If you're not watching on video, I'm just tapping Brad. We do this virtually all the time, so it's cool to be in the same room. But I'm glad you brought up hydration because we actually never talk about that, and it's such a huge thing. When I went to the doctor in 2019 and decided to change my life, one of the biggest things he said was that you are extremely dehydrated. And I thought that I drank a lot of water because I've always drinking a lot of water my whole life, but apparently it wasn't enough. And I think that number one, being hydrated, like you said, it improves my energy. It makes me feel better, but it also makes it easier for me to do all these other things because if I have an improved energy, if I have an improved mood, and I'm staying hydrated and keeping myself, keeping my metabolism running, keeping myself full, I eat less, I eat healthier, I have more energy to work out when I want to do it. So just the fact of it is the number one focus for me, I guess, is hydration, which is crazy that we never talk about that because I'm extremely intentional about how often I drink this water. I'm on a regimen. If you guys watch the video version of this, basically every time the screen cuts to Brad when he's talking, I'm freaking chugging this water. By the end of these interviews, I have to pee 3 times, or by the end of these podcasts,
Yeah.
because I'm just very intentional about water. And when I get off, I feel great. So if that's one thing definitely to pay attention to in your own life, if you're eating healthy, if you're working out, if you're doing all these things, make sure you're also drinking enough water. Like a rule for me is I drink a gallon every day, no matter what. And that may sound like a lot to some people. To some people, maybe it doesn't sound like a lot. But I think if you're drinking a gallon of water a day, you're pretty safe. It's a pretty safe bet that you're going to be hydrated.
Here's a fact. Dehydration is the #1 cause of chronic fatigue in America.
Damn.
Right? And so the immediate thing you can do to feel better, if you aren't already doing it already, is getting hydrated. And I think you put it correctly. Get hydrated first, and you're probably going to notice that your hunger patterns are easier to control, or you'll have fewer cravings because you'll be full of water. Also, your body is not going to confuse hunger with thirst, which it can oftentimes do. You're craving salt because you're dehydrated, and so therefore you start eating shit foods because you're actually dehydrated. So first things first, set yourself up for success all downstream by getting hydrated. Once you do that, now focus on food before you focus on anything else, because once you start getting your food right, and I think we can apply some blanket concepts on how to get food right. Avoid processed foods. I can guarantee you all processed foods contain ingredients that are inflammatory and lead to chronic illness over time. They're the reason your mood is shit. They're the reason that you feel a lack of energy. These are a function of the poisonous chemicals that are in processed foods. We don't need to get into the nitty gritty, but processed foods, blanket statement, stay away from those. Replace them with whole foods. Replace them with things that generally come from the outer perimeter of the grocery store versus the inner pieces of it where you're buying all the processed shit. You get your food right, you're naturally going to have more energy to start working out. And honestly, if you were to do walks on top of having your food and your water right, you're going to feel pretty good. But you're also going to have the energy to start taking things to the next level. And so if you start a strength training regimen, if you start a cardio regimen, all the benefits of those things are going to multiply tenfold if you got your water and your food right. Also, the friction to just do them in the first place is going to go down immensely. Think about the times when you're not feeling it to go work out and it's a pain in the ass. Trying to get over that friction is difficult. And so if your food and your water are off base, you're going to constantly live in that state of friction because your body isn't ready to go work out. But set yourself up right there and you're going to be ready to go work out. And then once you work out, you've now provided your body an activity level that causes it to produce endorphins that make you feel good, that improve your mood, which then sets you up to think positive thoughts, to start conditioning your mind to better handle stress, all things that contribute to you having a better mindset. So then when you go do all the daily practices that we talk about on top of that, things that have to do with mental fitness around gratitude, meditation, thinking about things in a extreme ownership mentality, doing all those things work a lot better when the engine is running smoothly with the rest of your body.
Ooh, I like that analogy. The engine running smoothly. That's
Yeah.
really true. Yeah. By the way, I just want to point out how bipolar the Chicago weather is. We've been recording for 13 minutes and 56 seconds, and it was sleeting and snowing and raining when we started, and now it's sunny. Pretty great. Also, one other thing that I just wanted to point out is if you can find a really good workout partner, what a great thing. Me and Brad worked out yesterday. I typically always work out alone. Sometimes I have friends come over and join me, which I love. And having Brad over yesterday to work out, it is number one, you feed off of each other and you push each other and you go intense, but also time flies, man. Like
Totally.
a 45-minute workout yesterday literally felt 3 times faster than it does on a normal daily basis. So if you could find yourself a workout partner that's like going to actually push you, not somebody you're going to rely on, because you need to rely on yourself and yourself only, but what a fun thing. I was really happy to do that. I know that's totally off topic of or totally just a side rant, but yeah, I think it was really fun.
I didn't think we really have a topic today other than talking about the importance of food and exercise, and so I think that is that fits right in.
Yeah. So so another thing we were talking about earlier is like last night we had keto snacks. Like we kind of binged a little bit on keto snacks, and we stayed within like our guidelines and our parameters or whatever. But it's kind of like we all want to reward ourselves as humans. Like we're constantly thinking about gratification and instant gratification versus delayed gratification and all these things. And like yesterday we're talking, me and Brad haven't seen each other in a long time. This is the first time seeing each other in person since we started the pod together. We've talked literally every single day on the pod now. And yesterday we're out to dinner and I'm like, it'd be fun to go out and get a drink and go to the bar and just go fuck off a little bit basically. And but I'm on 75 hard phase 1 right now, so obviously I'm not going to do that. And I did think about it though. I swear to God, I talked about it for probably.
He was
10
definitely
minutes.
thinking about it.
And you were thinking about it a little bit.
I was thinking about it a little bit too.
But listen, here's the thing: we talked about it and decided, you know what, we're going to go stop by Whole Foods. We're going to get a couple like keto, snacks, and instead of going out and drinking at the bar and having a ton of empty calories and feeling like shit the next morning and being inflamed from alcohol and all this stuff, we went and got a couple keto snacks, came home, and it was still really fun. And this morning we both woke up at 6:30, felt great, went on a walk on the lake. Here doing this pod now, we just had a great brainstorm session for business. Like we would not have done all those things if we went out last night and drank and got fucked up and felt like shit this morning. So the engine has to, like, to use your analogy, the engine has to be running very smoothly in order for you to make it easy to do all the things that you need to do. We could have gone out and done all that stuff last night and woke up and did everything we did this morning, but it would have been way harder. It would have been way more friction. We would still be feeling like shit as we record this right now. And instead of talking to you about eating healthy and working out, we'd be talking to you about the regrets of drinking alcohol. So, yeah, I guess that's where I'm at. I feel good, man.
We've been using the term getting dialed, like getting dialed in. And ultimately, if you want to take your life to the next level, you need to build a mind and a body foundation that allows you to do that. That is dialed. So we couldn't have had the conversation about how to take the business to the next level this morning if we weren't in a dialed state. Like you haven't earned the right to have those conversations. Or if you do, you're not having them in a state where you can actually go achieve those things. And so you need to feel, you need to feel the way that the person would feel who can go achieve those things.
Yeah. What does it come back to that we always talk about? Your identity. How do you view yourself? And yesterday night when we're talking at dinner about, do we go party? Do we just go home? It's almost like an identity battle. It's like, am I the person that's going to go out and have drinks and get fucked up and feel like shit tomorrow morning? Or am I the person that's going to go home, have a couple keto snacks, go to bed early, wake up and get back to business? And obviously we decided on the preferred identity of we're going to be the healthy people. So I'm telling you guys, I've been doing this shit for 3 years now. Just constantly, the mindset, practicing mindset every day, mental fitness exercises every day, roller coastering on eating healthy and working out and all these things. It is a daily battle. Like just like we talk about this all the time, but obviously it's important if we're repeating it so much. Just like fitness is a daily practice, mindset is a daily practice, even an hourly practice. I was great the entire day. I didn't think about having a drink once. And then we got out to dinner and I'm thinking about having a drink. So, and I'm not even a big drinker. I just don't know what it is. When I go out with friends, I love having a drink. So it's a constant battle. It is a constant battle, and I am prepared to be on this battle for the rest of my life. Just because it's been 3 years, and I don't think that's going to just go away in the next 2 years. I think for the rest of my life, I will be in a constant battle to improve my mindset, just like I'll be in a constant battle to improve my physical body. So it's very important to be aware of that and keep that in mind every single day, because when you're feeling down, you have to understand that even if you were feeling great yesterday and you're feeling down today, you got to battle. You have to go to war with yourself. So yeah, I don't know, man. Anything else?
The one thing we didn't bring up that I think we should mention, sleep goes into all this too.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
definitely.
right around where food is, sleep is, and that's why consuming alcohol close to bed is also can be punishing because it does disrupt your REM sleep cycle. Like that is a hardened fact, and so be cognizant of how often you're consuming alcohol, especially near bedtime, because that is the number one way to disrupt your sleep. And sleep, I think, falls right in with food in terms of putting yourself in a position to be successful, be productive. But I think if I can wrap up all of today's call, the food, the sleep, the water, the exercise, they are all building a foundation. So you have the mood, the energy, the mental and physical tools to go build the life that you want. And if you want to reduce the friction to go accomplish that, start with those foundational things that you generally, unless you have some sort of chronic illness, have full control over. And so if you do have full control over them, be very grateful that you have full control over your health and how you feel. Lean into that, and then that will give you the strength that you need to go achieve what it is that you want.
It's literally like we just posted a short on YouTube this morning. Control the controllables.
Control the controllables.
Control what you put into your body physically. Control what you put into your body that you eat. Control what you put into your body that you drink. Control what you put into your body mentally. What books are you reading? What podcasts are you listening to? Control how much sleep you get. Go to sleep early. Wake up early. All those things that you can control, you should be controlling, because the more that you put attention on those inputs, the better you will feel just in general. So you explained that way better than I just did, but yeah.
I think we're on like a co-ramble alert, but I'll add one last thing. You end up finding there's gravity for what it is, the vision you have for yourself in your life, which I think everybody has that, or at least we do. Josh mentioned we do a lot of plotting. I think if you're listening to this podcast, you're probably somebody who plots a lot. You plan for the future. You've got a vision for yourself that you want to go make happen. When you get the fundamentals right on food, sleep, water, exercise, all of a sudden, you have a natural drift towards that vision of yourself for the future. Like, the more time I spend on just doing those things, the more I then find that I am just doing all the other things to go achieve the life that I want. My productivity is so much higher. All of the friction to go accomplish the daily actions I need to go be a 9-figure business owner, they start to happen far more naturally because I'm not fighting the friction of my body and I'm not fighting the friction of fatigue. I am just naturally have the energy to go do those things. And I'm like, if I'm this productive in the foundation of my life, I'm like, well, damn well going to go translate that into taking things to the next level. And so I look at it like stair steps. And so I'm like nailing this stair step to get myself dialed physically and mentally. And then it makes stepping up to that next step much easier.
I'm not going to add anything to that. If you guys got value out of today's episode, please, please, please subscribe to our YouTube channel, like the video, leave a comment. If you want us to answer your question on the podcast, you can leave it in a comment or you can email that question into support@mindsetmogul.com. If you're listening on Apple, Spotify, Google, please leave us a 5-star review and give us a follow there. We would really, really appreciate it. Thank you guys so much for listening. If you made it to this point, you are a legend. We will see you in the next episode. Have a great day.
Take care.